permaculture design course is an opportunity for people to learn the art and science of solving for patterns, of being able to identify patterns in the world around them and apply solutions to those patterns. Permaculture is an assemblage of tools and techniques that aren't new at all. Many are actually thousands of years old. Much of what we study in permaculture and apply are very old ways of knowing, coupled with also new understandings that the last 200 years and even especially 20 years of science has led us to understand.
It's largely about learning how to be a human in the modern world that's actually giving back more to the landscape than we're taking from it. And so a permaculture design certification course is a very intensive experience in which we look at things like hydrology and how water moves through landscapes, and how the nature of the topography can be used to our advantage in terms of design, how we can be better stewards of the water resources in our landscapes, how we can design buildings that meet our needs while reducing the amount of resources we consume. We also want to look at how we participate in communities and neighborhoods and the ecosystems that we rely on in a way that is truly regenerative.
He came home one day from work and said, "I am going to go on this 10-day excursion. I think it's going to change my life, and I think you should come."
We have a daughter, and we've really given a lot of thought to how we want to raise her and what kind of world we want to leave her with. And so I feel like I discovered permaculture through that lens, and then it was just such a burst of positivity, hope, yeah, and something that you could do, and maybe the only thing that could turn the ship around.
Problems and solutions in permaculture have to do with the relationships between human beings and the larger living world. The permaculture movement seeks to make this relationship mutually beneficial. And so that's where this group is studying that primarily, the relationship of people on this land, and how to work and live on a piece of land in a way that's improving the health of the living systems on site, be it soil or water or wildlife, while also getting a yield, while also being able to make a livelihood on a piece of land.
Early on in the permaculture course, we'll mention that we've now fitted with each student with their permaculture goggles. When you start to look at what were otherwise viewed as problems as resources that have gone unrealized, when we recognize that waste is simply food that has been forgotten and unrealized, that we can only help but improve so many of the problems that we find in the world around us.
Maybe 10 days ago, I would walk into an open field and be like, oh, okay, so there's some grass and a hill and some taller grass over here. And we spent 10 days in that field digging a little bit deeper into all of those things and what they stand for and how they're functioning. And now I feel like I go into a landscape, even just 10 days later, and see and it's pretty cool.
It's truly transformative and life-changing in that I left after a 2-week intensive with a worldview that had changed in a somewhat subtle but also very profound way. There was something in me that felt different, that understood my place in the world and in the ecosystem I live in as having a newfound value. And being immersed in a community, in a learning community for an intensive experience like this, in a beautiful place where we're nourishing one another and nurturing our skills and our goals and our needs and challenges, it becomes a very long-standing inspiration, and I think it really helps propel people become a more active contributor to the community they live in.
Everybody here has an interest and an intention and a motivation to kind of take their philosophies and actually put them on the ground in this way. I think the conversations here have been like some of the most fruitful that I've ever had.
You know, it's easy to get a lot of academic content, and we have far more people in the world today with a lot of information in their head than hands-on skills. So we're trying to address that limiting factor to making the world a better place, which isn't just knowledge in the mind, it's actually know-how in the hands and in the body.
There's a lot of great information that's contained in books, and there certainly are videos that are available online, but this is a very practical, very hands-on course where we were able to experience all of the really critical aspects of design and also a lot of the fundamental skills that underpin those design concepts, and to have the opportunity to do them in a reflective place with a lot of support and feedback made a world of difference. I feel like I was just accelerated through a year's or more worth of reading.
Because the scope of the course content is so extensive, it's really just us exploring the tip of the iceberg, in that we can dive in to a certain degree of depth into each of these different arenas, but try to explore them in a light that may be unique for many people, and that we're looking at how we can apply pattern-based thinking to finding solutions and creating opportunities simply through thorough analysis, through asking good questions. Sometimes the simple rearrangement of individual elements can create totally newfound opportunities.
You know, some sand and some snow, a little bit of clay. It's starting to look good.
It's hard to view society or the world or your participation in it through a lens where you feel singled out or you feel different. But the feeling I get of the synergy between ideas that flow here, the number of skills that people have once you start talking about it, the many different ideas that then culminate into something grander and better than any one person could have thought of, makes me want to go home and start that piece, that like people care part of permaculture, where the land building is important, but if you're doing that all by yourself in your backyard and you're not engaging with the people around you and you're not getting fed by them as much as the food you're growing, that's not worth it to me.
Now we're just starting to like really as a society realize like, okay, this is messed up. It is very like scary and weird because of how much we're experimenting with like our whole global like climate system. So that's kind of a bit unnerving, but I just feel like it's like our turn, you know, and people see that as well. And hopefully just as many people can be impacted by this kind of way of growing food before, you know, they really like need it. I'm always optimistic. You know, you have to be optimistic. So, yeah, that's my answer.